Hey, what's up everyone? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we're looking at the Robot Damashii XX Gundam. Take a quick look at the packaging here. This is the guy right here, Gundam XX Gundam. Robot Spirits, really cool Gundam. The reason I picked this guy up, aside from being one of the newer figures and being really cool looking, is he looks kind of like a cross between the Strike Gundam and the Extreme Gundam, just with these kind of pieces here, and then the chest is very reminiscent of the Strike Gundam that I already reviewed, and also, like I said, the Extreme Gundam. So he's really cool. He's got some huge guns, these things which I assume are wings. I haven't seen the anime of this guy, with this guy in it yet. If there is an anime, I think there is, but I haven't seen it, and I haven't read any manga, so I don't know the story behind this guy at all. All I know is he's really cool looking, so I picked him up, and I figured I might as well show you guys the ins and outs of this guy. So this is him with all of his junk added on, so to speak. He's got these two big blasters up here, which are really, really big. And they have these things which hold them in place also, that add on here. Those all come off, and these things fold back, slide back, and tuck around the back. So I'll get to that in a minute. But before we do any of that, I'll go through the other accessories really quickly. You can see he's got two hands that are on him right now. Those are for holding the beam sabers, just a standard gripping hand. Then we also have trigger finger hands, gun hands, so that's cool. And the fingers are all fairly soft. They're not a hard plastic, so you shouldn't have too much trouble. We have some open hands that are for posing, just for making some dynamic looking stances. Apparently we have another set of hands, and as you can see, they're not quite the same. So the ones I have on him right now, I put them together in the dark. There are two different gripping hands. Apparently one is for, you know what, I don't know. All he has to hold on to is the beam sabers, this right here. So I don't know why he has two different sets, one with a slightly larger opening than that side. I do not know. If I figure it out, I'll let you guys know, but I don't know. And then he has fist hands. So two sets of gripping hands, fist hands, gun hands, and then just open posing hands. So there we have that. We have the beam sabers, which are these really cool fancy beam sabers that look kind of like bushes, but still really cool. Nice translucent plastic, nicely sculpted, and they are like a cross, so that's fitting for the character. And cool handles as well. These do pop off if you want them to, and obviously those are the ones he has while he's holding them, and the ones that peg in to his skirt piece while he's not holding them are like this. They're tiny and they peg in. I don't have them pegged in right now because he was holding the beam sabers a little bit ago, but they peg in right there. I'll show you that once we deconstruct this guy. So he has two of those. He also has pieces that replace these guys here. These yellow things that comes off, these come off, and you can put the covers back on so that he doesn't have all of this stuff going on. If you want him to look a little more clean, he has the same type of piece for the arm. This actually just goes back down once you put that on. So it's pretty nifty. And he has a cool looking shield, an asymmetrical shield. It's not a beam shield, which is always ideal, but he has this one which has some nice contrast to it. And that, using that peg right there, this one right here, that will peg into right there on his arm. I'll show you that once we get him deconstructed again. These pieces right here will just go into the shoulder pad and kind of fill it out once you take those out. And lastly, we have his gun, which is really nicely made. I've got a few different colors of paint on there, a few pieces of molded plastic, really nicely sculpted, and he holds it really well, so that's nice. And it has that nice metallic green on the front there, not on the back. So that's about that. He is a bigger Gundam tube, so he stands to the top of his head about 5 1/4 inches tall. Once he's got his guns on the top there, he's got about 6 inches in height, so he's really got some good size to him. So let's deconstruct a little bit, take off all of his bonus stuff and get him down to the basic. So you can just slide those down, and they do snap into place if you heard that. I'll show you how they connect too once we get to that. And then they just swing around like this and hang down the back, which I do like. I like them better like that, I think, than up top, because they are kind of excessive. And these pieces you can see right in there, it's a ball peg actually that slides in from the side. So that's some pretty clever engineering. Just slides in there and does snap into place. But you take those out and these slide in to replace them to fill out the shoulder pads. So those just go like that. They don't snap in as much as I'd like. They just kind of sit there, but they don't fall out, so it's not really a big deal. So pull those out, replace those pieces with these pieces. And it's kind of hard to get in there. I wish they had done something about that, but there you go. That's in there. Let's fold these up. One of the cool things about these is they fold up really nicely to like the more basic version, basic whatever, space flight. I assume those open up for space flight, but I don't know. It's just a guess, probably because I'm watching Wing Gundam right now, and everything's about space flight, so whatever. Alright, so those fold up to keep those nice and compact. They do come off altogether if you want. They just slide into that little slot right there via that. So if you want to take them off altogether, you can. And then in addition to that, these just peg onto that ball peg right there. So if you want to take these off, you can. But they are on that ball peg and on a hinge, so good full range of motion there. And then the wings are also on a ball peg that is hinged. So you can pretty much get them to move however you want them to. So that's pretty cool. Actually, we'll leave those off just for now so that I can break down the rest of the figure a little more easily. In order to take the arms down to the basic version, you want to take everything off. This does come apart. You have to put it together to put it on actually. So you would have figured that out on your own. And then you have this little piece in here. It only goes on one way. And you need it to be there to hold on the blue piece. It doesn't go on as tight as I would have liked though. It's a little bit of a bummer. But it'll do. So that goes there to give him his standard arms. Which I do kind of, I mean, I like the yellow things. They look really cool, but they're also kind of cumbersome. So I don't mind taking him down to the basic version. Where's the piece? Where's the arm piece? I probably left it in the package. Is it in the package? Yeah, I'll find it later. So that would go on there just like the other one, so that he would have both of his arms down. I don't know. Maybe one of the cats took it. Oh, there it is. Cat moved it, didn't take it. Alright. So as you can see, the arm piece does fall off sometimes because that doesn't snap into place as well as I would like. I don't know if they just did that to make it easier to swap them out, but it does not snap in very well. So be careful about that. These will come off fairly easily. Then the legs are a little bit different. They don't have all that extra bit going on in between. That just comes off, and then the same piece, only without the yellow, goes back on. And that just pegs right in. And this pegs in on top. If I can do it. Come on. Maybe that's the wrong piece. That one go on there? I don't know, guys. I just opened this up, so bear with me. Yeah, apparently they're side specific when you're putting them in the basic mode. So peg that in, and there you have it. So there's his most basic mode. And when you have him like this, if you don't have him holding his beam swords, these guys, the handles I told you about, just peg right in. They go like this. Slide them into that top piece, so that gunmetal gray color, and then peg in the bottom. And then the same for the other side. Slide in the top piece and peg in the bottom. And that's really nifty. I love the way they did that. This guy's got tons of great engineering, and also he's got really nice composition with all of the dark colors going down the legs here, two tones for the knee pads and the skirt, the translucent green plastic for that. You can see his guns inside his chest. The face is done really well. Metallic green eyes. All the little guns are painted properly. The four-piece crown, that looks really nice with the little things coming off on the sides there. It's a really sharp-looking Gundam. The little thrusters on the back. And where was it? There goes the arm again. That's so irritating. Definitely something to watch out for. Now that he's broken down, we can go ahead and give him back his thrusters. and his wings and all that good stuff, and you can see what he looks like. Really cool figure. So that's probably how most people are going to have him displayed for the most part, I'm guessing, just because the yellow pieces for the arms and legs do get pretty cumbersome. But he is, as you can see, really nice composition on this guy, good proportions, everything looks nice, tons of different molded plastics. Let's talk about articulation. The head is on a ball peg on top of the neck piece there, and the neck piece itself is on a ball peg as well. So pretty good range of motion, except for the fact that these little beard pieces are going to bounce against those guns. So it does limit the rotation a little bit, but you can still pretty much get them to do what you want them to do. Pretty good range of motion. And like I said, the head just looks awesome, so that's really good. The shoulder pads are hinged, as you would expect, so they hinge on their own. And then the shoulders can as well. Inside the shoulder pads, you have a ball peg in the torso. It doesn't have the butterfly joint, which is surprising to me. This thing's just going to keep falling off, so I'm taking it off. Big problem as far as those go. Really, really irritating. So there's really no butterfly joint in the torso. It's just that standard ball peg in there. So I was a little surprised about that, but you really don't need it. You get a good range of motion out of it, no problem at all. So really, it's not a problem. You can pose it however you want to. Really good range of motion. And then you do have the bicep swivel built in to the arm, double jointed elbow, and the ball peg on top of the ball hinge for the wrist. So really good range of motion for that. Something that's interesting is that the hands do kind of stick out a little bit farther than some of the other Gundams, and you can't push it in at all. So you do have a better range of motion, but you do also have the gap there. So you can kind of play with it to get it to look good however you want it to, but it does have a little bit of an extra gap. Just something to point out. Alright, how about the torso? What kind of articulation do we have there? None. None in the torso, at least unless mine's frozen. So, quick update, as I was putting this guy away for the review, or from the review, I was able to free up the torso, and it does have another hinge in there, at least one going forward. I haven't been able to free up one going side to side. If there is one, it doesn't look like there is, but the forward and backward one does work, and it adds the articulation quite nicely. It buries this blue part in between the red and the white, and then of course you can see the gap for the blasters. And the back is just a solid, streamlined gap, so that's a pretty nice piece of articulation. I'll probably just leave it crunched like that so that the blasters look extra smooth, but even if you lift it up like that, it looks pretty good. So it is nice to have the articulation, and the cool thing about it is the reason it was frozen up for me is it actually snaps and locks down once you want to put it down. So if you want to, you just do that and everything looks nice and compact. But you do get a ball peg in the lower torso, double ball peg, as is standard, and you do get a really good range of motion out of that. So that's probably going to be enough, even if that doesn't move anymore for other people. I don't know. But that's pretty good. And then you do get the waist twist, and it goes pretty much all the way around. You're going to have to kind of play around those skirt pieces, but it's pretty good. So that's nice. Good range of motion on that. The front skirts are individually articulated on ball pegs. The sides are as well. They don't have a huge range of motion for the side skirts. They tend to pop off fairly easily too, but they do have the articulation, so that's okay. And then for the back skirt, it's just one big flap like that. And it reveals where you can put the stand in there. So pretty good. The legs, as you can see now that it's open, have the hinge going out to the side. And there goes the side skirt. So as you can see, that pops off pretty easily. But so the hinge to the side right there, and then it swivels just like you would expect to go forward. Again, it's not quite the greatest range of motion out of all Gundams, but it's good enough. So I'm not really going to complain about it. And you do get a thigh swivel as well. Double jointed knees with a big piece for the knee, but it does provide for a nice good range of motion. Bring the leg pretty far back, no problem at all. That's cool. The ankles, there's a ball peg in there for the ankle itself, so this whole piece is on a ball peg. Then you have a hinge at the end of the ball peg, which allows for the foot to rock from side to side. It's really stiff, and you can play with it to get a little bit more than I have there, but the ankle guard does get in the way. But the ankle rocker that lets the foot tilt has really good range of motion, no problem at all there. And then the toe is hinged as well. Goes forward and backward, so up and down, really good range of motion for that. And the cool thing about this, the ankle guard, is instead of being on a ball peg at the front of the ankle, it's actually at the side of the ankle, so it doesn't get in the way at all, and it actually has better coverage that way. So I was happy to see that new bit. Unless that's not new to some people, maybe it's new to me. I haven't seen that before, so I was happy to see that. So that pretty much covers it for the articulation. Let's put the shield on to show you that. Again, that's just going to peg right into the back of the forearm, and that is on a hinge and a ball peg. So the ball peg into the shield and the hinge prior to that piece there. If I don't drop it, I do really like this shield. Even though it's a smaller shield, it has nice contrast, and it for some reason makes me think of the Strike Gundam. So that's another cool thing, because I really do like the Strike Gundam. And then we'll put the blaster in his other hand with the trigger finger. And then you can see what it's like. And then we'll call it a day, because this is already a long review. But there he is, guys. There's the nice blaster with the cool looking shield. Great articulation, great composition. Really can't complain. And just for size comparison, even though I did do the height review, picked up another Gundam, the Strike Freedom, and you can see how much bigger the Double X actually is. He makes the Strike Freedom look really small. He's about a whole head taller than him, and a whole lot bulkier. So just a little frame of reference for you. So there it is, guys. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.